Hi, this is Scott. Welcome back to another Hollinger Team video blog. This one is the much anticipated first quarter report for the Flathead Valley in waterfront, and also just an overall view of sales and some interesting things to pass on and food for thought. And so let's dive in right away. In Flathead and Lake County overall, for homes, there are 548 active listings. So far this year, there's been 321 home sales compared with 448 last year. So that's already kind of starting off interesting. We've got basically about a 25% drop in the number of home sales in the valley. And then, but there's a fair number of pending sales. But if we do look at this a little bit deeper, well, let's talk about land first. Land saw a huge decrease, a 50% decrease, 104 vacant property sales so far in the this quarter of this year. There's quite a few for sale, 535 vacant properties. So there's a pretty good supply there. 209 sold last year. There's a good number of pending. But again, if we go back and look at the number of transactions so far this year in homes, and we look at how many active, you could say that somewhere in the fall, all the homes that are currently for sale will be sold. I know there's others that are going to come on the market, but it just shows the low inventory of homes for sale. Land is a little better. You've got a little over a year's worth of vacant properties for sale. So it is definitely, as you'll see through this whole video, it's a supply and demand environment we have here, where supply is low. Demand, as we'll see here in a minute, is still very high. And I guess I would go back. We should probably, and let me know if this would be interesting, if we looked at the number of active listings last year at the same quarter, that would give us an idea of how many were for sale at that time and how many sold, and the ratios there. Anyhow, on to Flathead Lake home sales. Right now there's 12 homes for sale on Flathead Lake. I've never seen it that low ever in 40 plus years. Home sales are still pretty good. It's kind of interesting if we look at some of these numbers. It's about the same as last year. Not very many sales last year either. 2 pending sales. That, if we just talk about the pending first, then we'll go back to the solds. The pendings, we have one at $1.5 million and one at $4 million, and that goes all the way back to the other side. If you look at the actives, there's only one home listed at $1.25 million, and all the rest of them are over $2.9 million. So it's there's a gigantic gap of homes, lack of homes for sale on the Flathead Lake. And then if you look at the solds, there was an $800,000 sale on the lake, and all the rest of them were over $3 million. So certainly not what you would call a depression in values or pricing or anything like that, because people are paying still an awful lot of money for homes on the lake. If we look at the condominiums, I can't explain that drop other than that we've had quite a winter, and maybe it's just because nobody wanted to go out and look at condominiums in the dead of winter. But we only have 1 sale compared to 6 last year. A couple pending. The active listings, there's a fair number, but it's not very high, and then we do see a gap there, a pretty good spread in price range on those. The next quarter will be interesting to see if all of a sudden the condominiums catch on fire. On vacant land, we've got a fair number of vacant land, 17. That's still a low number. The vacant land sales are way down compared to last year. Don't have an explanation other than we've had a lot of snow that just never left, and so maybe some of it was just hard to see or get to. And a pretty good spread in the price range of homes available there. Then we go on to just the big picture of all the rest of the lakes and bodies of water here. And Echo Lake, Blaine, Swan River, Swan Lake, Ashley, Bitterroot, McGregor, Foy's Lake, Lake Mary Ronan, and Whitefish Lake. And you can see there, let's just start with the pending, 0 all the way across the board on all those lakes for the first, coming out of the first quarter of the year. If we look at the solds this year and the solds last year, pretty close. Maybe one more last year than this year, but total of 5 sales on all those lakes in the first quarter this year. If we look at the actives, we have 11. And this is one of those other things that I was talking about as far as with 11 for sale and 5 selling in the first quarter, we have basically 2 quarters or 6 months of properties available on the market. So I tell people, if you're thinking of selling it right now, you really, and if you look at some of these places, there's nothing for sale, so you really command a strong position in the market. Anyhow, I hope this was helpful. Short for sure, but not a lot of stuff to share so far. Next quarter, I promise you, will be more interesting, and we'll have some changes between quarters to talk about and the trend for the first 6 months of the year. Please subscribe, pass this on to your friends. Thanks for watching another Hollinger Team video blog.